times, class. For your English lesson today, the learning objective is, can I write in the correct tense throughout my writing? Today, we will be looking at using different tenses when we are writing. When looking at text, we are focusing on the verbs in the sentences. Verbs are the active part of the sentence. They can also show timescale, letting the reader know whether something is meant to take place in the past, present, or future. This is known as the tense of a verb. Now, verb tenses, we have the past, the present, and the future tense. So the past tense is when we are talking about something that's already happened. The present tense is when we are talking about something still happening. And the future tense is when you talk about something that has not yet happened, but is going to happen. Try this for me. Can you give me an example of a sentence in the past tense? Now, if I was going to give an example of a sentence in the past tense, I would write, I went to my friend's house. Full stop. I went to my friend's house. That would be my sentence in the past tense. Can you give me an example of a sentence in the present tense? Now, I'm going to use the same sentence that I wrote for my past tense, but I'm going to change it so that it is now in the present tense. So I'm going to write, I am going to my friend's house. I'm going to my friend's house. So I've now written that in the present tense. Now, can you give me an example of a sentence in the future tense? Have a little think about how that would look. I would write, if I had to give an example, I will be going to my friend's house. I will be going to my friend's house. So there I have written 3 sentences. They are about the exact same thing, but they are written in the past tense, in the present tense, and in the future tense. Now, tense has the power to decide when in time a verb will happen. Will it happen in the future, in the present, or in the past? There are 2 different forms of verbs. You have your irregular and your regular. Irregular verbs don't follow any rules when they change between past, present, and future tense, but regular verbs follow a set of rules. Let's have a look at this paragraph or this sentence. Boudica feeled like fighting yesterday, so she put it on her armour and rided her horse to the battlefield, where she fighted so much that the Roman army runned away. What is wrong with this paragraph? I would like for you to pause the video and correctly write it out. Now, let's see if we can write this out together. This is how I would write it. Boudica felt like fighting yesterday. So, oh, don't forget the comma. So she put, not putted, she put on her armour and, now we need to change rided into the past, which would be rode, and rode her horse to the battlefield. And then comma, where she, now we need to change fighted into the past tense, where she fought so much that the Roman army, now we need to change run into the past tense, which would be ran away. Full stop. So the correct sentence then looks like this. Boudica felt like fighting yesterday, so she put on her armour and rode her horse to the battlefield, where she fought so much that the Roman army ran away. Notice how in the whole sentence I have written in the same exact tense. I have written in the past tense. So when you're writing your sentences, make sure that they are in the same tense. You don't change your tense halfway through the sentence. Now, here are some examples of some simple verb tenses. As I've mentioned before, the past tense is a completed action or the past state of being. So for example, Ken walked to school. It's something that Ken has already done. The present form of a word or a sentence is a repeated action or it's a state of being. It's something that you still are doing. For example, Ken walks to school every day. So that is something that he still does. It's an action that happens again and again every day. And another example of a sentence in the present tense is Ken is smart. He wasn't smart. It's not a case of he was smart or he is going to be smart. It is present. He is smart. He is like that. Now, an example of a sentence in the future tense, which is an action or a state of being that will happen, example of that would be Ken will walk to school tomorrow. It's something that has not happened yet, but will happen. The perfect verb tense is as follows. You have the past perfect verb tense, which is an action that has happened before or another event in the past. So for example, it has the word had in it most of the time. For example, Julie had travelled to hundreds of countries before she moved to Spain. And you also have the present perfect verb tense, which is an action that took place at an unspecified time in the past. So we don't really know when it happened, but it definitely did happen sometime in the past. For example, having the words have and has in it, an example of a sentence in the present perfect verb tense is Julie has travelled to hundreds of countries looking for a place to live. You also have the future perfect, which is an action that will take place before another event in the future. It often has the words will have in it. And an example of a sentence is Julie will have travelled to hundreds of countries before the end of the year. Although most non-chronological reports are written in the present tense, the historical ones, like our key text, are written in the past tense. It is important that we make sure our verbs are written in the correct tense. Your tasks for today are as follows. Number 1, correct the paragraph below and rewrite it in the past tense. The paragraph is as follows. Boudica is a famous Celtic queen who is rising up against the Roman Empire in 60 AD. She is the joint ruler of the Iceni tribe and lives in a part of Britain we now call East Anglia. She rules with her husband, Prasutagus. Once you have finished task number 1, task number 2 is, in your corrected paragraph, underline all the verbs. So you can take a different coloured pencil and just underline all the verbs that you can see. And remember, a verb is a doing word. For example, John swims in the swimming pool. Swims is the verb. It's something that somebody does. It is an action. Once you have finished task number 2, task number 3 is to create a short paragraph about Boudica's appearance and write it in the past tense. So think about what Boudica looks like. All of you had the task last time to draw a picture of her. And so you could always look back at that and see what makes Boudica Boudica. What does her hair look like? What does her face look like? What does she wear? What does she carry? And write it in the past tense. Past tense is what has already happened. So make sure that you are writing in the correct tense. And always, always, always look back at your work and make sure that you are checking for spelling, checking that you've got the correct punctuation and your capital letters, and make sure that it's written in the same tense the whole way through. So enjoy. That is all for your English lesson, Williams class, and I'll see you very, very soon.